What's up, everyone? I am Brent Gallagher, and today I am sitting with Miss Megan. Hello, hello, hello. How are we
Hi.
doing?
Good.
It's always those fun, interesting, kind of awkward conversations to start off with. The starters is I have not told them anything that we're going to be talking about outside of about 10 seconds. So right now, running through her head, she's just like, oh crap, how is this going to go throughout this whole time? So that's why a little bit of the nervousness, like to see them kind of like just shuffle a little bit there, kind of as they're anticipating what's going to be happening throughout these conversations. But as you've been tuning in, as you've been listening to all of these conversations, we're working our way through the entire team. We just want to give you a chance to kind of peek behind the curtain and help you understand that we are humans too as well. We do have our same struggles. We are trying to figure out how do we set a routine for ourselves and keep ourselves fit and healthy during this period of time. So with that in mind, Megan, we're going to get right into it there. What are some of the things that you are doing to keep yourself healthy throughout this kind of quarantine season?
Well, I do feel like all of my germophobic tendencies have come to actually help me through all of this. So that's been good. I'm already a neat freak and a really clean person. So that's been
Yeah,
fine. I haven't had to like organize shelving or anything like I know a lot of people have been doing. But I think the biggest thing I've been trying to do is just to be outside more often.
hmm
Just with my work schedule, I don't really get to go on a walk in the middle of the day or anything like
right.
that usually. And I never get to see my spouse during the day. So working from home a lot has meant I might have a 30-minute gap and we're going to go for a 10-minute walk. And it's been great. And
Yeah,
trying to that's probably the biggest thing is just walking a lot more.
yeah,
Just been really nice. And I think I think when I'm really stressed out, which this has definitely all been very stressful, when I am
yeah,
stressed out, I tend to just like nose to the grindstone and just like work like a crazy person and then come up for air. And I realize that I am psycho stressed.
right.
And the little breaks and the walks have actually helped so much with that. Just
Yeah.
getting outside and just walking around, spending a little bit of time with Roland. And it's been really nice, actually. It's not been so bad.
That's awesome. And if you're listening to it, we always kind of give a little bit of just this insight into what each of the trainers is doing. But if you hear that, what she said is the self-awareness piece. It's the self-awareness to know that, hey, when I am stressed, this is my go-to. And as she says, it's head down and go. Which for a lot of people, you're like, man, hurrah, that's the person that we want on our team. But you can see
Not always great.
when she comes up for air, sometimes it might come with a little bit of vengeance there too as well with it all. So
Meltdown.
she, yeah, no, it is, and then also too as well is, I mean, you when you put your head down and you go really hard, you have a tendency to get some headaches too as well, correct?
Yeah, I get really bad migraines, just
Yeah.
part of normal life. And I think that before this all happened, when life was just going and blowing, I was having migraines a lot.
hmm
And actually, what's been weird is since this has happened, I have a lot less migraines. My sleep pattern is still the same. I am not somebody who does well without sleep. So no
Right.
matter what, I'm an 8-hour person. I don't care what we're doing. I'm leaving 8 hours of sleep. Like it's just me. Um, and I don't know that maybe if it is because of just having like my schedule isn't so set, which I know is probably different from a lot of people. Like I am somebody who that's just, having been a professional ballet dancer and stuff, this just your life is scheduled. That is just the way that it is. And then coming into this job, it was the same thing, just routine, schedule, schedule. And this period of time, I have not been able to do that because of having clients who want to pop in at the last minute or Roland having a break from work. And so we can go on a walk.
hmm
It's actually been kind of good. I don't know if just
Yeah.
pushing me outside of something that I usually do
Yeah.
has been really good for me, actually.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And again, just goes back to I think the self-awareness piece that like you realizing that like, hey, maybe during this period of time, what's needed of me more than anything is a little bit more flexibility. It is that ability to say, hey, you know what, I had planned to do X, Y, and Z, but all of a sudden, Roland, your husband, was just like, hey, I got 10 minutes. You want to go for a walk? And it's like, yes, let's drop what we're doing if you can, and let's go do something a little bit more kind of spontaneous.
Which I am not that person. He is very like, oh, let's go do this. And I'm like, I've got about 15 other
No.
things on my checklist. Like, I can't stand up. And yeah, it's been weird.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a lot more like I love a checklist. That is just I'm pretty positive I was like a kiddo with like a checklist for schoolwork. Like that's just how I was.
Right.
Um, and it has helped me with my jobs, obviously.
Mhm.
Like it makes work life easier, but it also can sometimes cause me a lot of stress because at the end of the day, if that checklist is not done, it really makes me feel anxious.
Yeah.
But during this quarantine time, I've had like an epic list of stuff that I really want to try and get done. And just trying to be a little less insane about that and just being like, you know what? I have time to spend with my spouse that I don't usually have. I'm going to take advantage of that. I have time to connect with my team better. I don't usually have time to spend an hour and a half talking with them. And if that's what they want, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's been an adjustment, but I
Yeah.
think it's been actually pretty good for me.
Yeah, a lot of great things are going to come out of all this stuff. So speaking of the anxiousness, when you do kind of get a little flustered and maybe, kind of, the stress of it all starts to come in, we all have our vices. We all have things that we like to turn to. If y'all have been listening to these, some of the team turns to beer, some of the team turns to those little frozen treats in the refrigerator. Is there something that you go, I'll confess, I turn to pizza. I'll order 2 pizzas, one for the family and then one for me. So it's just like we know ourselves really well. But for you, are there any things that are vices for you, places that you turn to when starting to feel a little overwhelming?
When I am super overwhelmed, I just shut down.
Yeah,
I go take a nap. And that's not always obviously the best way to deal with stress. It's just to sleep through it.
right.
But yeah, that is usually how I deal with that. I mean, there's probably like some champagne first, then the nap.
Okay. All right. So now the truth is starting to come out. So
Champagne and then a nap. But yeah, that's how my body literally is
yeah,
just like, you can't handle this, go to sleep.
right.
And for some reason, that's just my coping mechanism.
Yeah,
Um, and during all of this, it's been kind of funny because I can do that because my bed is right there. So
right.
I can just go and take a nap. And
Right.
yeah, it's been probably more awkward though having Roland at home now though, because then he's like, "You're really stressed out. Do you want to like, maybe we can work out?" I'm like, "No, I've been working out all day."
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Do you want to go for a bike ride?" I'm gonna take a nap.
Yep. But again, it goes back into you're aware. You are aware of how you need to lead your life, and you're aware of how you are when you're trying to be healthy, and you're aware of how you need to be when you're stressed, which is huge. And I think there could be worse things than taking a nap when you're stressed. But that does sound like it's out of all of them, that seems to be like the healthiest thing that you could possibly do during this period of
Of
time.
course, 15 hours of sleep is normal.
I mean, isn't it for everyone? I think so. So this is when the bed is calling you, so to say, and your husband's not there to motivate you. Let's just say that someone's listened to this and they were doing really well beforehand, and they were getting in to work out a couple times during the week. They had they were eating healthy, they were making some really good choices, and then all of a sudden Corona hit. And for a couple of days, maybe a week or two, they struggled through it, and finally they just said, "Screw it, this is too much." They kind of did the reverse of you. They're not going to go to sleep, but they're just going to throw in the towel and they're going to close and kind of turn a blind eye to anything of taking care of themselves, from a health and fitness standpoint. What would you say to that person right now to help them kind of maybe get back on track and kind of find some footing, I think, maybe for the next couple of days and weeks that we have ahead of us?
I think so. This is just, I think, the way that I personally lead my life and the way that I try to lead my group classes too is how does it feel? And I've asked, if you are my client, that is what I ask you all the time. You'll be like, I feel this here. Okay, what does that feel like? Does it feel bad? Does it feel good? And I think that if you asked yourself right now, you've lost footing. You are not exercising. You are not walking. You are not doing FaceTime calls with your friends. How do you feel? Do you feel a little depressed? Do you feel achy? Are you hurting? You've got to find something to grab onto. So if that means going for a walk with your kids and that makes you feel a little happier, you got a little bit of movement in, do it, do more of it. And so I think a lot of people, whenever stuff is really stressful, and I do this too, you try to just like shut it down. You're like, I feel nothing, I'm fine. Just
Right.
put on I'm okay, I'm fine. You just can't. That's just
Yeah.
not, we all know that's not emotionally healthy. We all know that one tends to lead us into other physical things that aren't healthy. And I think that if we all just kind of step back for a second and just really were super honest about what does your body feel like, what does your mind feel like, and answer those questions honestly, and then what can you do to make that better? It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to do an hour and a half workout. Sometimes it means go for a walk. Sometimes it means jump in with us or
Right.
run around with your kids or play outside on the swings. Like it's just moving and that'll physically make you feel better. If emotionally you are feeling awful and you're not cooking, y'all are ordering out all the time and you are feeling just not great. And I mean, I know myself, I know that if I have a lot of food allergies. And if I eat stuff that doesn't agree with me, not only do I feel disgusting, but it really does not motivate me to continue to eat healthy. I have to
Yeah.
I'm a cold turkey person. I've got to just be like, okay, we're not doing that. We are doing this.
Mhm.
And for me, that helps me to just reset. I can't do okay, I'm going to gradually take stuff out. Like I kind of just have to throw myself into it, but that's my personality.
Yeah.
Um, Roland is not like that. He always has cookies in the fridge. He's so good. He can have one
Yeah.
cookie. I'm
Yeah.
not that person. I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat the whole box and then they're not here to test me. It's very hard too when you
Right.
don't live together. It is,
Yeah.
but I think I do try to do that to myself. Like, all right, I just want a cookie. It's
Hmm.
nothing crazy. It's not anything weird. I just want a cookie. All right, have the cookie and
Right.
then whatever, move on from it. Don't feel bad about it. Just go on. Or, Brent, if you need a whole pizza, whatever
Right.
floats your boat. Yeah, I think it would really just, if anyone asked me, what could I do? I would just say, ask yourself how you're feeling. And then
Yeah.
you know what that answer is. I mean, we all know ourselves. We all function differently. We all have different triggers. We all have stuff that works for us and doesn't work for us. Nobody's the same. I think
Hmm.
that you just have to be honest with yourself. And
Yeah.
if you're not feeling good, you know what'll make you feel better. You just got to do it.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
not always easy and it's not always fun.
That's that's huge. I think it's such a great question. We're actually going to go into a bonus little question here on this one. So we're past the 10-minute time here, but I think that question is so insightful when you think about it. Is like, how do you feel? Like, how is this making you feel when you eat this? When you're not working out on a daily basis? When you're sleeping very little and you're getting up first thing in the morning? When you reach for that in the pantry? When you start to drink that? Like, there's all these little questions that you can say, hey, how am I truly feeling? What if, and this might be kind of putting too much on the spot here in this one, but what if you say, hey, I, I'm going to ask myself that question, but I'm going to brush over it really quickly. I'm not going to take the time. I'm going to say, oh, I feel like crap. And then I'm going to move on, and I'm still do it anyway there. What could you say to someone who's like, they're afraid? No, I don't think afraid is to do it. Maybe it just causes a little too much internal anxiety to, to sit with that for a second, to go, wow, I don't like the answer. I don't like how I'm feeling. Like, what would you say to someone in that moment when they've asked the question and they're feeling anxious and they don't want to move forward in the right direction with
I genuinely think, years of therapy, people,
it? Yep.
genuinely think as human beings, we overthink the answers to so much.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to mean you have to make a full life change. It doesn't have to be massive. It could literally be as big as texting us, your trainer, and being like,
Yeah.
hey, I haven't moved in 48 days. Help me. And we're like, no big deal. Let's just do some stretching. Let's
Yeah.
FaceTime, stretch, let's do something. Let's I don't know. I mean, I really think that sometimes people overthink what the answer is, and that causes so much stress because you're like, oh my God, I've got to change 1,000 things about myself.
Right.
No, you probably just need to hop off the sofa and move outside. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be a life changing
Yeah.
thing. I know
Yeah.
for myself, I ask myself these questions, and sometimes I don't really like the answers to it. And it can be really frustrating because you're like, oh, I just don't have time for that. And that
Hmm.
is literally my life always. I am scheduled to the millimeter. And I don't think that I have time to schedule anything else in. But sometimes it really does mean saying no to something that can do
Right.
something that makes me feel good. So
Right.
it might mean, you know, saying no to some girlfriends that want to go and hang out because I haven't seen Roland all week.
Right.
So, no, guys, I'm going to spend time with my spouse and we're going to go for a bike ride because that's what he likes to do now.
Right.
And I don't know what happened in quarantine.
Right.
He's a crazy bike person now. But yeah, I don't think it has to be so profound and
Hmm.
so terrifying. Now, if you let that happen to yourself, that's what's going to happen, right? If you let
Right.
your mind spiral and you're like, everything's got to change right now, no, you're probably not going to do anything. That is awful and scary. And it
Hmm.
takes a lot more time than just what has to happen in that moment.
Right.
Sometimes it's just Do the smallest thing, do the smallest step, and just start there.
Right. That's it. That's a great way to sum it up there, because that's been a recurring theme amongst a lot of the trainers there. It's take that small step. Don't let the big stuff overwhelm you. You got to take one small step. I mean, you're not going to get to the big stuff until you take the first little small step, and then just continuously just keep doing a couple things. One, forgiving yourself as you take these steps, knowing that it's going to be a bumpy road. And then also too, as well, as to say, hey, look, you're trying to make this something that is part of your lifestyle. It's not just something that you do, because when you do it, that means it's convenient, it's easy, it's perfect schedule. But if it's something that's part of your lifestyle, you will rearrange, as you just said. Hey, sometimes I have to say no to things for, as they always say, eliminate the non-essential for the stuff that is truly essential, that gives you life, that gives you energy throughout your day. So on that, Megan, thank you so much for doing it. We went into a little bit of bonus time. This is the longest one out of all of them. So if this is your first one to tune into, they're all not this long, but they are just as insightful here. So if you want to, we're working through the entire team. Go back, listen to all the episodes, because within each of these little episodes, you are going to hear a little nugget of wisdom that you could probably hold against us in the future. So tune back in. Until next time, thank you so much. See you later.